Welcome everybody. Second in my series of foolishly and pointlessly probably trying to match some drinks with some music, and today, as you hopefully seen, I'm trying a stout, or a porter really as it was traditionally known, and this is Brewdog's Black Heart 21st Century Stout. And yeah, the reason I give this a go, actually, I've never tried it before, but there's been a lot of traffic on the internet comparing it with Guinness, and I do like a Guinness, although I rarely drink it in the house. I like a draft Guinness, but I have to go steady on them due to my blood sugar levels and all that. But yeah, that's been the comparison, and I thought, well, I could give the definitive answer to that comparison if I give it a go. But anyway, I'll say a bit about the beer first, and then I'll go on to the music that I've decided to match it with. But I'll just turn that one down while I'm talking. So I had some complaints last video. Yeah, well, you see now it poured, and it certainly looks like Guinness. Is it slightly dark brown rather than full black? Possibly. The head is certainly not quite as white as a Guinness. It's got a sort of a light tan sort of in the head, but it's a good head, and it's sat there, and it's that nitrogen sort of can, you know, that like you get with a draft Guinness. But yeah, it's chocolate is the first thing that comes to mind. Dark chocolate, one of those dark chocolate bars, you know, 80-85% dark chocolate. Very mild coffee, maybe a wee milky sort of coffee in there, and they come across in the smell and in the taste. But I suppose the thing that hits you more than most is the aftertaste. Is that there's a real bitterness, much more bitter than Guinness, and yeah, it's a really nice drink actually. Very creamy, very nice. It's more complex, and by that I mean it's got more flavours in it than Guinness. I think Guinness is a very, very quaffable, creamy, pleasant drink. This one equally, I think you could, you know, I don't know, if I was on a session maybe I'd stick with a Guinness, but if I'm just having one or two, very, very nice as far as a stout or a porter goes. So is it better than Guinness? Well, I wouldn't say so. It's different. Vive la différence, everyone to their own. They're both good. Give it a try. Brewdog's Black Heart. And obviously Brewdog, I think it originated in Scotland, but it's certainly not Irish, although stout has become sort of synonymous with Ireland, I suppose, since Guinness started brewing it a couple of hundred years ago, although porter originated in London actually. But anyway, there we are, enough about the drink. What I thought I would do, because it is synonymous with Ireland, I thought I'd match it with some dark Irish rock music from the 70s. I've got an album from the 70s, the 80s and the 90s, and that music you heard at the beginning, at the intro actually, was the Irish sort of Celtic rock pioneers, Horselips, and it's from their album Dancehall Sweethearts, which has got a absolutely terrible cover on it. This is from 1974, and I mean, look at the boys there posing there with the shirt off and everything, and I know it's 1974, lads, but really you can do better than that, and I know you can do better than that, because on their preceding album they had what I think's a cracking cover on that one. That's this is the Tane. I don't know, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a Gaelic word, and yeah, superb cover, and that's a much better picture of the band on the inside. So that was the album that preceded it, but the album that you heard was Dancehall Sweethearts. And I think they were a sort of folk rock band initially, and I don't know, somewhere along the sort of between Steel Eye Span and Fairport Convention, but they moved fairly rapidly on each LP, and by Dancehall Sweethearts they'd certainly got up into somewhere between the Strobes and the Tull sort of sound, and that's perhaps why I like this one a bit more. This album's more folky, based on Irish sort of 10th century myth, I think, but good stuff. And what I was going to say about this one, if you look this one up, the track I was going to mention in relation to this drink in particular is the third track on side one. It's Stars, and this is one that sort of, I would say, it's poetically and emotionally dark. It's depression. The future's looking bleak, and you really need a creamy, soothing drink to help regain your perspective after that. But that's Horselips, Dancehall Sweethearts from 1974. The second one I was going to mention was one of my favourite artists and a great band that I really enjoyed. I think they only had a couple of albums, or only a couple that I knew of, and that's Moving Hearts, and this is their 1982 album, Dark End of the Street. Well, Moving Hearts were a band that formed out of the folk rock giants Planxty, with Christy Moore, Donald Lunny, Declan Sinnott, sort of big stars in Irish folk music, came together to form a rock band to combine contemporary rock music with traditional Irish music. And their subject matter for these two LPs, certainly the two that I'm aware of, were pretty much exclusively the political situation in Northern Ireland. And we haven't had many more situations in Britain that are as dark as that. And so this one is politically dark album, and the track I'm going to mention is the title track, The Dark End of the Street, which I think is an absolutely beautiful, if sad, song that Christy Moore sings gorgeously, and I read it as about a sort of people from the two different communities in Northern Ireland falling in love and having to meet at the dark end of the street and in fear. I spent some time in Belfast in the early 80s, 1981, and met people from the community, from the political and paramilitary organisations. I was harassed by British soldiers. I'd never seen anything like it, and I don't think most people on this side of the Irish Sea really had a feel for what was going on over there. Really, really dark times. Let's hope that the situation of peace continues. But these are a great band that reflected those dark times. Moving Hearts, Dark End of the Street. And then lastly, and we'll go out with this one, but wanted to mention a very different band which sort of for me came out of nowhere in about 1989-90, and that's the Hothouse Flowers. This is their second album, Home, and great band again, that's perhaps a bit more gospel orientated and generally a bit more upbeat than the other two bands I've mentioned. They're very, very different, but superb really, and I think they've reformed and are still going, but somebody might correct me on that. But the track I was going to mention in relation to this one was track 5 on side 1, and we'll go out with it, but it's a track called Giving It All Away, and this is one that is, I suppose, philosophically and fundamentally dark. I see it as about the sort of innate uselessness of Homo sapiens, really. We've got it all, but we're intent on giving it all away. Really heartfelt song, and I'll put it on to go out on. So thanks for watching. You'll have to talk amongst yourselves while I change this record over, of course. This is one of the if this was sort of digital monkey, I'd just have to press a button, wouldn't I? But this is really late. Now it's a case of trying to find track 5, of course. So I'm going to put some glasses on. This is Giving It All Away by Hot House Flowers. I'll turn it up a bit because I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to finish my drink off. See if I can get it blob on. Yep, there we go. Hot House Flowers.
We got the sky, but it's getting hard to see it. Yeah, we got the sky, but it's getting hard to breathe it. Oh, give it all away. Oh, give it all away. Give it all away. See this? Oh, give it all away. And an old man told me about dolphins and people. Said that they was killing it, they were screaming. And I cried when I heard what they were doing. I cried when I heard what they were doing.
Cheers, everyone.
Give it all away.